Welcome back to the Epic Skill Podcast. This is a live streaming we're doing. And we're going to talk about like how AI helps us with getting more of that quality time away from work and how it helps us like have that work-life balance. And we want to delve into like in what areas does AI help the most when it comes to like providing that work-life balance. What do you guys think?
Yeah, like a lot of people are some people hate on AI because they think it's gonna take the jobs, but if anything, I believe it's gonna uplift jobs, right? And it's one of those add-ons to provide energy somewhere. So one of the ways that AI really helps in work is systemizations. If there's system processes that need to get done, AI is good at the math behind the system. Also, what we're seeing in AI now is also like a lot of creative sides of AI too, like within visual effects or even like copywriting. Um, that AI helps in many areas, even analyzing. So ChatGPT is great at analyzing text and breaking down text, converting into into like summaries or even like transferring it over uh, into an upgrade. I remember I was talking to this wedding um this wedding guy, another wedding photographer, and he used AI to help him build his website by inserting different documents. So basically he trained the AI with inserting like blogs and documents into it. So then the AI knew what a good website looked like, and then AI like kind of like spit back out to him um different like a format to follow. So then it gave him a little advantage to give him more of a premium quality in a sense. Yeah. Like it's helpful in so many areas. I guess like which area do we break down AI first? Because it's across everywhere
Yeah.
Maybe you can start with what we know, like for example, how AI is helping us develop the editing part, and also what also in when you guys are taking pictures and doing videos or when we're streaming, how does it help us like maximize our efficiency?
now. Yeah. Yeah, Autumn uses AI a lot for photos. Yeah, I'm gonna want to pass the question at all. Like, how do you like the AI in the photo process?
It's cool. I think like with everything you have, everything's good in moderation. And I will say there's a lot of benefits that come from AI. So like normally when you edit photos, there's like a huge process that you can take to ensure everything is, up to standard, everything's looking similar, they all look um, like you're straightening everything. It's a detailed process, and from what I've found with AI in editing, it's very efficient. Like it helps speed up workflow quickly, especially if you have a huge um like project that you have to undertake. It's very helpful. And then not to like switch topics for a second, but I also think AI is really cool for like a personal tutor use. And I think it's helpful for kids who maybe like need extra tutoring outside of school and they can't afford tutoring. And I think like if you use ChatGPT and you ask it like to give you a concentrated lesson like outside of school when you don't have all of the other classmates around you, it's like a cool tool to use that's free that can like give you personalized tests and you can do it after school. I feel like I wish I had ChatGPT when I was in school because it's helpful, like not to like cheat. I know a lot of students use it to cheat now or like to write all their stuff, but to use it to like help inform your learning process and like how to grow. It's a perfect little tutor.
Yeah, yeah. I remember.
Yeah, and it's a customized tutor too, if
Yeah.
because it's there whenever you need it.
Yeah.
So it's so convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's very cool when the tutoring goes through from AI, especially when you learn the processes of it. It's like when you could prompt it and like the certain. I think the next level of education is probably going to be like how do you prompt AI to a certain spec specification? Like how do we get it to like somebody who I think there's going to be specialties along within the AI. So let's say like you have that copywriter that prompts the AI in a different way than a mathematician that prompts the AI. So then we're gonna have like different AIs that accompany certain things. So like a business major probably prompt the AI differently than a poetry major. Right? So it's like I think the prompts are going to be one of those next education tools to help us use this new advanced tool in AI education because it's 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 specialized tool and it can help you advance even far and fast. Like when you think about classes, like even in classes, like you could only go as far as the class goes.
Yeah.
You can't really go beyond further in the class unless the teacher like recognizes like, hey, you're one of these great students instead of just getting like you're working through the sheets fast. Um, Sometimes teachers will recognize that and they'll give like that student like extra pamphlet or something that challenges them a little harder than what the whole class is taking.
Yeah.
But imagine that like on times 10 where the AI could see where you're pushing through in it.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. And then back into editing and like AI edits, I love it too. It helps with consistency more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with the editing, like we're human, right? So like there's gonna be little bits of imperfection within it, but then the AI knows its color, knows its setting, and knows how to adjust like each image to match the image beforehand. So that
And you're training it to know your style,
yes.
which is so cool.
Hmm. And that, you know what I find interesting, and there it's debatable. And I'll ask this question to those that are viewing us, and also for you guys. What is the difference between, let's say, you write a book, and that book needs to be edited? What is the difference between editing from AI or editing from a human? They're still going to make those changes, but it seems like we are reluctant to think that if you use AI, it's like a form of cheating. When in reality, if you give this editing to a human being, that's exactly what they're going to do. The same concept as AI will do, just that it will be much quicker. And I believe like maybe that's a career that's in danger.
Oh, but maybe unless they know how to use the AI to prompt and they could sell it on the prompting point. Because then like an editor, for example, if I were to edit my book, I would be like grammar. And let me edit grammar and let me edit um basically just grammar, right? And I'll just tell AI, can you fix all the grammar for it? Edit the book for that. Meanwhile, like an editor that knows how to edit like the books, they will probably edit my book into a way of like, oh, instead of just fixing grammar, we're also gonna fix in the storytelling, adding a little hero's mission into there as well as fixing the runoffs, and so that like the prompter would give a much more abbreviated prompt rather than like me simply not knowing what goes into editing. I will give it like some kind of like it wouldn't be as advanced. Like the edit that I will ask AI to do on the book wouldn't be like as advanced as the edit that actual AI um that an actual book writer, book editor prompts the AI to do.
Yeah, perhaps the upper hand is the experience the editor has. But then again, if you look at the other side, like Autumn was saying, like you can train your AI to be that editor you want it to be. Because I'm pretty sure you could set up the tone. What kind of tone do you want the narration of your book to be? But what I do think is like you have to do the bulk work of creating something that doesn't exist. And it's fine that, like, for example, not everyone's gonna be an editor. Not everyone is an expert in English. Not everyone, knows all the commas and the points and all these different, you know, linguistic uh, areas that you're not an expert. I believe it's okay to like once you create the whole concept, is that you can ask like AI to develop your story in the tone that you can't give it. Because again, think about it. When you write an essay, how often do you look back and say, that's not what I meant, or that's not the tone I wanted? But then again, but at least you created something from thin air. You're just letting AI, or AI in this case, to do a little bit of that fixing that you just can't. Because again, you're just I guess, like, as a writer, you can also don't have that particular style, but that's the kind of tone that you want to give the book. But I do see that, like, eventually that's a job that I'm talking about, book editing.
Yeah.
That's a job that perhaps is going to be lost. Because think about it, once you train your AI, why will you go to an editor? Do you really have a need to go in there when you could just do it at home, and it costs you really low compared to what an editor does? Think about it. Like, think about today, we have Chat GPT, you have Gemini, and other softwares, AI softwares, that for the maybe even for $40 a month or less, you can get all the editing done while you go to an editor. Think about how much they're charging you per hour, per concept, per paragraph. It's a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
I wonder if how would an editor save their job? Like, I wonder if there's a way if they could s- save their job by for because like AI is kind
Maybe,
of like the calculator
maybe,
today.
maybe what they can do. This is what I think. Sorry to interrupt you, but if you edited so many books, that means that you can create a book, correct? That means you know how to find the connection on how to create something that doesn't exist, right? Like in your writing. And perhaps you know, the advantage you have is, like, how it works. You know how to publish a book, and that's the whole point. Like, maybe they need to become more of the creators and less of the editors when AI develops more in that industry. I don't know what you guys think.
That's actually a great point. Just to like maybe they can add their own storytelling, knowing how stories where they know the ins and outs of like a book and how to make it. All they gotta do is just prompt AI to be like, oh, can you tell the story in this way, in this format? Uh, Add this into it. Give it this little spin, etc., etc. And like they might even create like an outstanding book for it. But then, sometimes like are the editors really as creative, right? Sometimes like is the right side of the brain working and more of the left side of the brain working? Which one's working more? Um, so like it might even be hard to you might get like a base book unless you even could tell AI like add some creative spin to it. Like that's also a hard thing. Um, I wonder if there's like a chief class and editor that could be like as well as applying the book, maybe applying the the prompt, like selling the prompt, possibly. Like if they could like, because AI is a tool. It's like I wonder how they could do it in business if they go around to sell a prompt.
Yeah. It's also cool too because like it gives you access to places that you didn't have access to before. Because like in these businesses, like you have book editors or like literary agents, they're so exclusive. Like it's so hard to get your book read. It's so hard to get a meeting with them. Um, you have to email them. I think they say right, like if you email them a manuscript, you're not allowed to email it anywhere else until they like write you back and acknowledge it, and they can decline. And that would take like 5 months for them to contact you. Then you have to take the manuscript and send it to somewhere else. Like it's a very long process. And don't get me wrong, right? Like long processes are rewarding. But I feel like with AI right now, how awesome it's like an open door, like where it can teach you how to edit a book, teach you how do you get your book published, how do you self-publish. Like I feel like this is where I'm excited about it because it's like you have accessibility now that was always gate kept, and wasn't accessible to other people, and it's just like very exciting right now. And I think if it's used correctly, a lot of people can learn a lot from And I know they say like, okay, but you have to be cautious about who's programming the AI and what information are they putting in there. But again, if you're using it cautiously, you're using it wisely, there's so many open doors that it can bring to you.
Yeah, I think that definitely opens up so many opportunities in so many ways that weren't as accessible as before. I mean, technology just wasn't there. It's like now the technology is here and it's here fast, and it's like when it's here fast, we gotta kind of like hop on it before it goes. Like when the wave comes, it's like kind of be the first ones to ride and ride that wave as long as you can.
Or I was just thinking, because who better to train AI than the editors themselves to give them the right prompting? So I was thinking that perhaps they work with these engineers to create the right editors for the right styles for different books and genres. Perhaps they get translated. I'm sorry, they get transferred from being exclusive editor now to becoming a trainer, to an AI trainer, so they can understand like, okay, it's almost like they're transferring their experience into the AI, so the AI can catch that experience quickly and is able to like do the job that perhaps took months to develop, and the AI can do it. But also, this is the danger. We live in a world that today, thanks to the technology we have, we live in a world where we want immediate results, and that also, with that comes, a negative side effect. You know, uh, how do you how do you always need to be rewarded immediately? That is the question. And what happens when you get accustomed to that? Think about how, like, if that's the new norm in the future, think about relationships, because you have an expectation that AI is so quick and gets your answer, but then you're with a couple, it's like if they don't give you the same response as quick, it's like it I don't think we are trained psychologically to kind of like understand how to cope with this technology, where we don't become one dependent, and second, we don't become and we create new rules thinking that that's the new norm of the world, that everything has to happen like it's yesterday.
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys think.
I fully agree with that. Like I think that's also like with Nikola Tesla. I kind of want to like drive Nikola Tesla in here because like he's a founding father of this technology. Like the reason why maybe it came out 100 years later, not in the immediate now with like free energy and all that, because it's like that would have been a big shock to the system of immediate gas of immediate energy that's like always around. Like how fast would we have even kind of destroyed the world if not even like fix it inside? So like the relationship with technology and humanity is going to be uh I think in the future it might even be challenging. I mean, like maybe even like 10, like 12 years from now, because like a lot of kids right now, they're developing a relationship with the technology more than they are developing a relationship with a person, or with the with the person, a community, or group. Like the technology has become that coping system, and AI might be scary because like AI might be scary for that reason. If it's not used in the right way, it could be used in a massive coping way, which then becomes like now you kind of might be dependent upon it if it gets to an extreme. Like you might not even be able to think for yourselves with in like for AI. Like if you just give AI to do all the thinking for you, like how can you think for yourselves?
Yeah, yeah. I was also reading that they did a study on the effect of blue light and how it's like triggering memory lapses, and like people are from our age group like they can't remember words, or like they just can't remember certain information, and they're having like gaps in their memory from like so much blue light exposure. And then I was reading another study where like how important it is to like hold a pencil and write something down. Like it lights up your brain in a way that it doesn't happen when you're typing. So like when you're typing, you're not having the same effect as if you're writing with pencil onto paper. And how crazy is that? Like I know in schools, right, they promote computers and iPad use, but really, like it's almost like you're kind of harming the kids right now because they're not, you know, being stimulated in
I guess like
the
what's
study.
how do you make Tony Stark's a balance with the
Well, that's the thing. I believe that the right thing to do is not expose these technologies without doing a proper study of them. And we learn that, for example, you see this through history. The atomic bomb was a good example. Oppenheimer, managing the project, the Manhattan Project, and they were so focused on developing that, what is the number one thing you have to do even before you develop is create rules for it and create studies to understand like what are the the consequences, good and bad, of any technology. So how often like do we hide? And I believe what they did with the internet was kind of curious because the military had that for so long internally, and they used it as a way of communication, like instant communication. And but this is where I believe perhaps we could have done better, is that the military should have analyzed what are the psychological effects of that, of having that internet interchange of communication, immediate communication. With that study, let's say if they would have done like a 5 to 10 year study, because they had this technology for so long, they would have come to the public and say, hey, not only we're bringing this technology, but we also come with the warnings of it. We also understand what it does to your brain. We also understand the good effects that it does. Now, let's set up some limits so that will create the rules that are going to provide the right balance to the use of these tools. But we don't do that. We go cold turkey, like like atomic bomb. It's like, oh yeah, let's develop it. And now that it made two huge holes in Japan, that's when we get scared and say like, oh wow, the consequences are big. Now let's create a rule for it. Let's create a law to protect us. But you already did the experiment without understanding the consequences. Almost like treating it like a food, or like a preservative, or like a drug. You have to study it for years before you can put it out in the public. But we are in this desire to increase our technology. It's almost like, what are we racing against? And the answer is, we're racing in a race of these powerhouses to generate just more wealth for themselves. That's all it is. Do you really have a sense of urgency to get the iPhone 25? What is the like? Do you like ask yourself, like, those are the questions we got to ask ourselves. If it's safe or not, that's what matters more than getting that technology. We don't know what that screen will be doing to your eyes in the next 10 years, because that's how long it takes to understand what the effects of technology did, if you do it correctly.
journal? Yeah. Like I was practicing with I was doing like an eye test of myself the other day where I was like at the park and I was practicing like actual depth of field. Like a real life depth of field rather than a depth of field from a screen. Like that's a muscle that gets that believes because it's like the imagination. Like you think you're seeing actually deep into something, but you're not really seeing deep into something. So like looking at a pole, then looking past the pole, then looking at the pole again, then looking at my thumb in front of me like a practice of eye strengthening because like even that goes into it. But then at one of the times it's like I think new problems will arise as it goes out to the public. Like as it starts reaching more and more people, the problems will just start they start accumulating a little bit more because like if you have 100 test subjects, then you only know the variables from the 100. If you add 1,000, you only know from 1,000. Next thing you know, you have 1,000,000, and then 10 mil, and then now it's like it's off the chain. It's kind of like off the chains now. It's pretty public. Um, but with AI, I think even the military had AI, and I think Elon Musk, he talks about he's talking about creating like a global unionization around AI because the technology is so new. Like, and all these countries are on the forefront of the technology, and they all know it's powerful. Like he's actually trying to do like a discovery in science with all the countries, because whatever they discover, it's like share the knowledge, because it's like this is a tool that all of us kind of could utilize. Um, but it is definitely is scary. It's scary, but also uplifting too. It's an interesting technology. We're in the race. We're in the race for it, but it is like for what? It's just to see how far we could push the technology.
Yeah, but also think about the marketing, like how even the like even and not saying that it's bad or good, but think about like for example in the digital world, the amount of information you had to put in for the algorithm to kind of catch up to your niche and put it out and customize it to that. So we live in a world where also marketing. Think about this, like, and we fall victims to this. Uh, Black Friday is a good example. Do you really need to shop on Black Friday? Who created that?
Yeah,
Who created that? Yeah, who created that culture? Was it the people? Who created that culture? Like the same thing of like having good habits. We have really bad habits because that's what we have allowed and our government has allowed to market this as the new norm and a culture. So although we make the ultimate decisions, but when you're young, you are fed information through different devices. And that has a psychological impact on you. It does form your criteria, thinking that, like that's fine. Like, oh yeah, eating, I don't know, like eating a hamburger, 3 hamburgers a day is healthy. Eating McDonald's every day is healthy. And that because you see that as a norm in a commercial. It might take you years to understand, like, oh my God, it's not true. But we have to also understand, like, we live in a world of consumption, and marketing is. I mean, look, when I was young, I don't know if you guys remember this or you caught into those times, but man, I remember the cigarettes commercials were the coolest. They were cowboys. They looked so cool, strong. That's how they portray the characters that smoke. Like you were this cool guy. And think about it, it happens today too. You see it. You see it with like artists, you see it with like, and they hire these artists. And again, I like what Terry Crews said the other day, why he doesn't endorse alcohol or like, or energy drinks because he doesn't believe in it. It's something that he doesn't consume. So why would he do that when he doesn't believe in it? So it's also like your convictions is also tailored to quote unquote be on this path to fulfill the marketing needs of companies.
yeah, that's the hard part. But like, yeah, they're just gonna keep throwing stuff and find different ways to influence us on these marketing paths. Like marketing paths are gonna might even get crazier, but then at the same time they might even like show people what exactly they want. But it's like really, is it really what they want? You know, like we are in an overconsumption state. Like America consumes a lot. Like we are consumers. Like, we're gluttonous. We really are gluttonous in America. Like it's a lot that we.
Yeah, and we can't blame that on AI.
No, we can't. That
This
that
is
comes from the
why exactly all AI is doing is consuming the information that we have left behind for it. It feeds from history. So think about it. Like I want you, and I have a question for Autumn and you. Kev. How often do you really live the present? Just think about that. Like when do you really think you are in the present?
Uh, I know I was talking about this with Autumn before, and like when we were driving over today, I was talking about with her. I was like, I try to be in the present as much as I can. Like I'll recognize the present. Like this is how I go off it. I reflect on the past, not to dwell on the past, but to reflect on the past to see what I can do in the present for the future. But then so the present bubble is like I try to keep that present bubble big than to see to like project out and far into the future to see what I could do now while also reflecting on mistakes or stuff in the past to bring it back and to try to create a momentum in the train, basically. Like
Yeah.
if it was a vortex, like I'm creating a
And
vortex.
that's exactly where I want to go. There is no such thing as the present. You're constantly moving. So your present is your future. This is why the brain is a future predicting machine. That's what it does. So think about it. If you blink right now, were you in the present? You're not in the present. So it's funny because your brain understands that it needs to start predicting the future. And how does it predict with the information of the past? AI is doing the same thing. AI is just like, oh, these humans behave this way. Oh, Autumn behaves this way. And what do they do? It's like, I'm going through, because of that history, I'm going to add something that she likes so she can do a clickbait, correct?
Yeah,
So,
I guess
so now, so marketing has become from going universal. When I was a kid, only you saw it on TV. It was universal. Everyone saw it. Now to becoming tailor fit for you, almost like a suit. And I want to hear what Autumn has to say about that.
Mm. Well, I think especially with like I think of Instagram, right? But I know a lot of people are on TikTok. The scroll effect, the doom scrolling, like that sucks you in where you kind of don't know what is your present moment, what's the future, what's the like you're just in a scroll time loop. Um, and then like when you come out of it and you realize like how much time has passed, it's kind of like you're foggy, your eyes hurt, like your body feels a little heavy. You're like, oh, what happened? Where have I been? But I think to like a way to ground yourself is to like with your senses, ground your senses. Like a friend of mine, she like taught me that, which is like, what do you smell around you? What are you hearing? What do you see in front of you? What do you feel? Um, like what are you tasting? Are you eating anything? Like always, that's how like a quick way to ground yourself is through the senses, and then that helps you to be in the present. And it's so funny though, because with technology, like especially what is that again with the thing, the Oculus, right?
yes.
When you put the Oculus on, the virtual reality, it makes you feel like you're outside, right? But it's so odd because it's like you're not outside though. Like
I know
all
you
of
feel the wind, and it's like there's no wind in
yeah,
it.
yeah, or like the grass, or like you saw people
Yeah.
who were like thinking they were on top of a building and they would run to the wall, and I'm like, but you kind of know, like you're not there. It feels weird, like all these screens, and then like you're left wanting like a real world experience. Like go walk barefoot outside, just to, like feel the grass under your feet. It's weird because it's like they're trying to create this like technological world, very like sci-fi ish, but yet like our bodies like we crave real, we crave the tangible, the physical. It's so interesting, like, and like your eyes they start to ache because they're like I want to look at something real. I feel the pixels and it hurts. Or like kids who stay up at night scrolling in their bed, like they end up with these dark circles under their eyes because that's all they're looking at. It's all they're seeing.
I have a question about Because like we could use how do you question for both. How do you build a mental fortitude to not have these technologies use you and siphon you, but you can use the technology and siphon the technology. Because like this is one of the things where it's like it's literally it's just power, right? The technology is just power. It's how do you use the power? Like you could for example, like the marketing side of the way that they're using the technology, they're using the power in a manipulative way. Like that's how they're doing it. But then on the science side, they use the power for discoveries, computer generations, build virtual like with medicines, you can run them through a computer. They give you like 100 different outcomes. Then it helps you develop a stronger medicine, like within the drug world, right? So like the medicines, it could help out in that. So, or even like with Elon Musk's discovery of like physics, for example, you could run a whole bunch of computer simulations and run physics through them. So you could use it's how to house the power. How do you build a mental fortitude to not have the power siphon you with that? But use it to free you because it's a freedom tool too. It's very freedom
Well, the issue is not creating a fortitude. The issue is, do you understand your value? Like most people struggle with understanding their value. They mix loving themselves with how much they value themselves. Like if you didn't love yourself, you would literally treat yourself badly. So most people love themselves. They will take care of themselves. They will bathe. They will go to work. They will try to give themselves the best things. Sometimes out of vanity more than love, but that's how they express their love for themselves. But the issue is, what is your value? Like when you understand your value and you invest in understanding, like, are you worth more because of what you have on your bank account? Are you worth more? Can somebody remove value from you? Can somebody add value to you? When you understand that you make the ultimate decisions to guarantee more or less value because that's something you control yourself, that's when you understand that anything that comes on the marketing of the internet or through ads and all this, that you have complete control to understand that certain things shouldn't even be an investment of your time. And it doesn't distract you from it because you already understand, like, I know where I want to go because my value is this, and I'm seeking other types of value. And I can validate myself. Most people scroll because they're looking for validation. They're looking for external validation because they believe that finding somebody that likes them, somebody that talks great about them, or that watches them, it creates this dopamine effect like, oh my God, they love me, they believe in me. But think about it. What is more important, that other people believe in you or that you believe in yourself? So the ultimate guide is, how much do you invest in getting to know yourself and your value? Because if you're on on the phone all day and you understand how the internet and how all these social media works, but yet you don't understand yourself, you will always be a victim to the online world.
That's a
Yeah,
that's a
true.
deep one. That's a
This is coming from Dr. Solano, not from regular Wendell.
there we go. There we go. Love it. That's a good one. Value is where it's at. It's to find your value. Believe in yourself. I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, you can't really get anywhere. Any
Yeah,
aspect.
and it goes beyond believing in yourself. It goes about, like, do you know your worth? And knowing your worth, it's also understanding how you project yourself to add more worth. Worth means, like, for example, if today you are a college student, you're valuable, but your worth is different than the day you graduate, than the day that you have 10 years of experience doing your profession. Your worth keeps increasing because you are investing in yourself. And you understand that ultimately, as you more invest in yourself, you're going to create more value and you should feel more confident in yourself. But the issue is this: there's something called overconfidence that creates, that deviates you and starts creating vanity out of that overconfidence. The question is, how do you remain in the middle? And this is where you have to add your spiritual value. You have to add your conviction. You have to add certain boundaries that are progressive and not regressive, that are positive and they connect, they're connectors with other people and to yourself. So when you don't build these different bridges, you start creating, like I always talk about, you start creating walls that you can't even escape yourself. Ask yourself, why did you put yourself in that wall first to start with? Why did you created it? What are you afraid of? What don't you want? What is something that you don't want to showcase, that you feel shame about yourself? That's the real question.
I think we ever use AI, I think AI could help become a reflective tool, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, you can, as a matter of fact, you can ask like AI, hey, I'm feeling X, Y, and Z, I'm feeling anxiety, and it's going to tell you what you should do, why you feel that way. But this is the question: would you rather have ChatGPT being supportive, or do you rather have somebody you love being supportive? Because that's a choice you make too.
Yeah.
You decide if you want to be with ChatGPT, where it's going to tell you what to do, but it can't show you what to do. It can't mentor you. It can't make you feel better. It can't be a companion. It can't give you that warmth, that human warmth, that companionship. You gotta remember, we are meant to be social. We're meant to be tribal. We're not meant to be alone. This is why it's important we understand that a tool is a tool. It's not a companion. You can't replace one thing with the other because you will have voids.
I will say I had to have a difficult conversation with someone and I didn't know how to approach it. I prompted ChatGPT and I said, I'm really nervous to have this conversation. Can you walk me through how to break it down? And when I tell you, ChatGPT gave me such an in-depth approach of like how to approach the conversation, how to ask a question, and like they literally gave me an entire layout and I followed it and I was like, thank you, ChatGPT, like it worked out nicely. And I was like, wow, this is great. But I think that's what I needed in that moment was like a tutorial, like this is how you do it. Because I didn't
Exactly.
want it to be yeah.
That's a great example because ChatGPT gives you a blueprint. But for example, ChatGPT can't teach you your tone of voice, your body language.
Right.
It can't teach you like how you can make sure that he's not, like the other recipient is not feeling negative energy from you or feeling a frustration from you. It can't teach you that. This is why we have to understand, like, you use ChatGPT beautifully as a tool to phrase what you wanted to say correctly, politically correct. But you had to put the human element to it, which ChatGPT can't teach you.
Very much. Very much. Don't let ChatGPT siphon up. Like,
You guys are bringing out all the psychology out of me today.
it's interesting, right? It's really cool. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
and you know, I love how what Autumn is saying, how she uses it, but she understands it's a tool, but she has to put in the human effort to make it work for her. And this is why it's so important that we understand that, you can't tell a hammer to build a house.
You can ask it what tools you need to build the house. That's what I like. I'm like, I'm here. Sometimes I need to be guided on like how to like approach something the right way or like don't know. That's just how I function. So I love that it can like assist you. I've always like I don't know when I was younger and you'd watch the Jetsons or like those sci-fi movies. It's like I want my own little personal Jarvis, and I don't know, I like to use it for that.
It's so funny the way that I use it as a tool for Instagram for my Estro. Basically, my tool that I use for that is like I already have my pre prompt, so I trained it with a couple of with other things. So basically, like if an artist has an artist statement title, I give it the artist statement title. I ask ChatGPT, add a little spin, an MG interpretation, give it a call to action, hashtags. And since it already read like 20, 30 like other ones, it kind of already has an idea of what I'm looking for. And once I just do like a plugin, like it just drops right back out. And like I got a good title, interpretation, etc. And then even if the artist didn't add their own artist statement or anything like that, like I got ChatGPT finally trained to read an image and give it the MG interpretation to the image. Like I finally trained it for the MG interpretation and then a poem added to it and call to action with hashtags. And it works out perfect. Like all I gotta do sometimes is just insert the image. And it's such a great tool, but I don't want the tool to use me, but it saves me so much time and work, you know? Like I don't like sometimes artists doesn't even have to give an artist statement and all that, and like since it already has like a style of whatever you kind of would say into it, well no. So
You got to also be conscious that every tool that you use is going to use you as well. How? For example, if you use a hammer to hammer a nail, the hammer is using your energy, your momentum, your creativity, as much as you're using the hammer itself. So it's okay to have an interchange of I would say being a tool to one another. The issue is when it becomes completely replaceable to one or another, where you can just say like an exaggeration, like, "Oh my God, this tool I cannot be without."
yeah, yeah,
That
that's the
that that is the real danger when you start believing that your value is not good enough if you don't have a tool. And this is the difference between understanding that a tool is a tool, but what kind of coping mechanisms that you create to empower yourself to use those tools. Because again, you should be okay. Like, yeah, the tool needs my strength, the tool needs my creativity, but is it taking control of me? Am I becoming obsessive about it? Because now you create an obsessive compulsion that you go into it and you don't know how to deal with it because now it brings off balance and you just don't know what to do when you're and you become so dependent. Man, think about that. A tool that makes you dependent is a drug.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
yeah, it is that 100%, 100%. That's the scary part of it. It can be. It really can be. Like social media, like it's really supposed to be a tool to connect others, to basic networking tool. Like that was the beginnings of social media. And now it's like they program it to be like a drug too. Like they program it so that everybody's on this dopamine. Like the original like the original meaning for social media was the networking until it got corrupted in a sense. Like social media got corrupted. Remember the first beginnings of Facebook, first beginnings of Instagram? Like it was connecting
Man, go
ways.
I can go back to MySpace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, MySpace had like I remember that time MySpace had like the Matrix effect, and the Matrix was the movie back then. That, but I do think that, and I want to hear your comments about this too. Like we're developing so fast, and there's nothing wrong with developing. We don't have good precautions, unfortunately. We just suck at being preventive. I always say that. I say this even from a psychological point of view. We're really bad at creating habits to prevent disasters or to prevent traumas that we later on take us years to learn how to handle. So think about this. Eventually, AI is going to be incorporated into our chemical world, our chemical body, and it's going to stimulate in ways that what you believe is real or it's not real is real to you. Because again, reality is just a chemical reaction in your brain. That's why I told you guys that you really feel like you're in the present. You're always in the future. If you really think about it, like what I just said, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore.
For that one little millisecond, like unless
Exactly.
tap into that.
So I want to ask Autumn, what does she think when that time comes where AI develops into becoming part of you? Do you believe we're prepared for that?
I think that's gonna become. Then we're gonna enter into. Did you watch the Divergent movie and the Hunger Games?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're gonna become like that. I feel like it's gonna become so dystopian because I think there's gonna be people who are gonna say like, absolutely not. This is not ethical. And then you're gonna have the people who like will push it, like they push the vaccine. It's just like it's just the way that it's gonna go. But I don't. That's too far.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
possible.
but that
Entrepreneurship.
that you
I
you
know.
but that's a good point. We're always in the search for utopia, and that is such, I would say, so naive to think that, because where can you find perfection in this world? You can't. So, and Dr. Tia was talking so beautifully about like being okay with imperfection. Why is so important? Why do you guys think it's important to value imperfection?
Because that's the difference. That's what makes us different. Like, if we weren't perfect, and if everybody was perfect, it would be different. What makes you different is your imperfection.
And it's a connecting dot. Think about it, like, what connects you with somebody that's different? Aren't you curious about that? Wouldn't you be curious about something you don't know or you can't understand? Like, I'll ask you that question. What, Autumn, what were you curious about Kevin when you met him?
Going back in the archives.
Oh my God, she says like, oh, it has a lot of dust.
Yeah.
um, well, I was curious about the way that he photographed because he always had like these really like beautiful images. And no, but when we actually like started talking, I always found it interesting and it fascinated me how Kevin loves abandoned places. Fun fact for all our viewers. Um, and I always found it so like awe-inspiring how he finds beauty in things that are left behind, right? Like an abandoned place, like it's so overlooked in society and nobody pays attention to it, and yet he would discover all of these beautiful like memorabilia or like artifacts that have been like left behind and abandoned. And every time we would talk or he would show me his projects, it's like wow, like you find beauty in places where people overlook it. So I just would find him fascinating. I'm like, it drew me in, and I was like, tell me more about that or show me more photos. And I always tell him this. And then I was also curious about like Kevin's so optimistic and like he doesn't let anything get him down. And he just has this ability to like jump back up and jump back up and jump back up. And I'm somebody who sometimes I fall and I sit there like my nose is on the ground. He's like, you gotta get up and try. And Kevin, like, he has this eternal optimism. And that's also something that those two things are I think are what makes Kevin very special. And that's why like I continue to like wanna like excavate his heart. 'Cause I'm like, tell me more.
You need a bulldozer for that one. But that's the point, right? you didn't know anything. It's not printed in his forehead. It was you that you didn't even know if that was a perfective thing or imperfection in him until you started to become curious and dig in deeper. And that's where we need to understand art, the utopia is mixed with imperfections, and learning how to contribute your wisdom, your love to those imperfections is what creates even bigger value. Think about it. Think about that you love Kevin with his imperfections. Although we already know, in the show, we know that Kevin is perfect. There's no such thing as Kevin being imperfect. But but that's what I'm saying. Like the real utopia is that loving somebody that's not perfect and learning that he has so many good attributes that overshadows the bad ones. But think about how many people look at the bad ones like they're bigger than the good ones. And they give more value to the bad ones than the good ones. And but that showcases how hurt those people are within themselves and how they haven't healed. And that's why they can't see the good more than the bad.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a people reflect when they look at utopia. What are they really seeing? What can they see from utopia?
I
That
think
is the question.
I think they're also trying to, like, so you're using the word utopia. I think they're trying to create this utopia because they're trying to eradicate suffering. But in the process of trying to eradicate suffering, they're causing more suffering because you can't have a world without suffering. Like it just like we all the three of us always talk about suffering builds your character, it builds your endurance level, it builds the way you love others, the way you see others. And so I think from if you can misuse AI, right, and you try to make it into this perfect world where essentially they try to make everybody one. I think like you're trying to eradicate suffering and then you're going to cause more suffering because if you don't adhere to this new ideal, then like you get crushed and then that's creating a bigger suffering and it's all in the search of eternity, right? I think like if we step back and look at it, like we all have a little bit of a longing in our heart, and that was placed in us to yearn for eternity, to yearn for heaven. And I think a lot of people try to make Earth into a heaven. Earth was created for us to enjoy, 100%. But it's our pilgrimage through this Earth. Like we're not meant to stay here, and Earth is amazing, right? It gives us memories, it gives us food, it nurtures us. This is where like we get to have connection, but it's not our resting point. And I think people who try to make the earth like our world, the end all be all, this is it, like freeze my body after I die and resurrect me when you guys figure out how to bring me back, right? Oh, I don't know. They said they did that to Walt Disney or somebody. They like froze him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they froze him.
yeah, I think that's the problem. Like they're trying to make the earth, a heaven or an eternal thing, and it's not. It's a passing
Hmm. I agree. What do you think, Kevin?
I think it's good. Uh, I think that's really interesting because like the Earth is a passing thing. It's like not supposed to be perfect. I remember there's like a study where people like where they're in the perfect room and and there was no chaos around. Like everything was like so straight, everything was like so linear. There was no curves or nothing. It was just perfect room. And the people that were in it, like after a while, after a few days, they started to make a little mess out of it. I mean, it's like kind of you need a little chaos in the world. We're talking about like organized chaos is in the human world, and then in the nature, the natural world, it's another organized chaos, so it's more chaotic. Like if you go to a golf course, like the golf course land is really like straight, edged out, the trees are gone, and then you look to the left and there's wilderness, birds flying through, a deer and a bear. It's like like you see a whole bunch of different stuff. I have a question though for you guys. So in the AI world, because AI is gonna be here, it's gonna stay here for a while. Like AI is already in art as well. Um, and we're talking about value. and perfection. AI is one of those things that can reach perfection in like 10 and like when will we get tired of perfection? And when we do get tired of the perfection, when will like the original book writer be more valuable than the AI? Because now there's going to be more AI books than the original book writer. Will the original painter be more valuable than the AI painter?
Well, I think it's foolish to believe, and that's it's something that I wanted to talk about. We believe that creating AI is going to reach us to that utopia of perfection. And think about it. Do you really believe that with all the upgrades of infinity, do you really believe AI is going to reach perfection? If it constantly has to reprogram itself to something new, because something new is always happening. Again, I go back to time. You never live in the present. You live, you lived in the past and you live in the future. And what does the future do? Provides more information. It's always informing. So what why would we think that AI will be able to go beyond that linear time of future, beyond future, to create the utopia of the past? Because that's what would happen in order for AI to create the perfect world that we foolishly think we need to live in. It will have to live outside of time to get the information and create that in the past so you can live through that perfection, perfect utopia. But it won't be available, it won't be able to do that. And the reason being is because we understand that physically, physics, chemically, with the knowledge we have, it's impossible because time is just linear.
Yeah, but like on the mathematical perfection side. Like, and it keeps improving itself. It keeps improving. Like after a while, it's gonna be more of a AI voice than it is of a human genuinity voice, like genuine human voice. And then from I think after a while, we're gonna get so tired of hearing like AI voice and AI visuals, et cetera, et cetera. Because now it's coming into the visual front, like the Hollywood front. Like they're predicting like AI will it's gonna be the next cinema makers. Um, but after a while, we're gonna notice that like, hey, this is the AI movie. We know how this is gonna end up to be. Like it might stir up certain emotions, but like we might want to like go back to those little in imperfections
I,
within a quality movie.
How funny would
I,
it
I,
be if
go ahead, Autumn.
no, no, I was just gonna say a joke. Like how funny would it be? Like so you're saying like if AI starts making a lot of movies and then you have actors come back and they film and then our like grandkids are gonna be like, oh, that's so vintage.
Yes, yes, that's it. And that's gonna become more valuable than the AI again because it's gonna be like there's like a little war of it going on of like value process with AI, but then the human value is always going to be at the top. We're going to get so tired. In my belief, I think we will get
Of
so
course.
tired of the tour.
But the thing is, you gotta, from a psychological perspective, there's a saying that if you can win, join them. I'm pretty sure in the future there's gonna be AI integration into human biology and anatomy because again, we are in this search for perfection all the time. And it's just human nature. This is why we are imperfect beings. Think about it. Like if you go to a party and there's five hot chicks, there's one that doesn't stand off, that it's not that good looking. Who will you choose?
Well,
You will look automatically. You look for those that are near perfection. That's just in our new human nature. We want always the best without knowing what is the best. So it's very likely that in the future we're going to be more of a cyborg type. We already a cyborg with our phones and the technology we have. It's just not integrated enough. But what happens when technology gets integrated into your brain? into your body and it starts stimulating you and it understands how to stimulate you. Think about this. Think about it. You're somebody that suffers from an anxiety disorder, and suddenly this AI integration, you don't feel fear anymore. For that, you don't have any panic. That's an emotion that gets erased from you.
That's scary because then you know what? You kind of become like a robotic zombie in a sense. Like if anybody kind of like wants to like
And
that's such a
that's
scary tool.
that's where I want to go. For now, we're transforming this utopia that AI is the answer, but AI has a different way of thinking that we don't understand, that we don't know when it develops. And perhaps AI can live without emotions, or even not being curious to understand it. As a matter of fact, I can view it as something that is not progressive, but for us, is an alert system. It alerts us of danger. It makes us react to the different atmospheres that we are, the environment, and it helps us adapt. So it's a warning system. That's what emotions are for us. But what happens if AI says like all I need is a program and you're integrated into that?
That's scary because then it's like if that's what I think where it needs to like kind of like create the line to it because then imagine like you have a chip that's kind of like the iPhone it wasn't like always accessible to everybody but now everybody has an iPhone, right? Like before you would have been if you walked in the hood you would have got jumped for your iPhone. I'm like but now if you walk in the hood with your iPhone like everybody has an iPhone like why do they want your iPhone now? I mean, it's still,
I want to ask Autumn this because she's female and she probably understands this better than me and you. Uh, think about this. We want to achieve this realm of perfection. Think about this. Like who does a lot of plastic surgery for their body are women. For what reason do they do it? And so think about that. Even in our anatomy, from a psychological perspective, we want to be kind of like looking perfect, but for what? And I will ask Autumn. Autumn has obviously, she's very secure about herself. But I asked her, like, how do you view women that, for example, need to go into plastic surgery to put more volume or make a shape into their body?
I'm a very strange being, but we
We love strange.
we actually we're doing like a videography gig for a what was
we
it
did one for it was a
what are they called like
med spa.
med spa, and you're kind of like caught up in the rush of you're videoing, you're recording, and so I ended up like rushed in a room where we had to record somebody getting a Botox treatment, and like the woman was like laying down, and then he like injected her. He kind of like did it like so nonchalantly, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you have lines here, you have lines there," and then he like injected her, and then it started bleeding, and I got so emotional. Kevin looked at me like, "You're right." I like literally my eyes got teary because I said to myself, she doesn't think that she's beautiful, and she's coming here, and you have the doctor reaffirming to her like, "Oh yeah, you have these deep lines, and these are your imperfections, and I'm gonna inject you with this serum, and then you'll go back to normal." And somebody else had saw her, and they were like, "Oh, you don't look like you don't look your age," and she's like, "Yeah, it's the Botox," and she just looked so sad. I don't know if it was just me that day, but it made me sad because I'm like, well, where are the people who are affirming that you are beautiful the way that you were created? And I actually just saw a commercial for Botox, and so they're, advertising Botox. And on the bottom of the screen it says, also beware because after a couple of weeks the Botox spreads, and then there's danger, and the toxins go to your brain. Like they're saying it so fast, and I'm like, wait, what? Like women are lining up to get this done. It makes me very sad because social media right now, especially like for women, it's very much like it's a comparison thing. Like, she has this and she has that. It's like preys on young women, especially women in high school, girls. They're very perceptible to the trends that are going on, and it can. It's like the 12-year-olds now don't look like the 12-year-olds from like 10 years ago or even from the 80s. Like, they're very much they look like they're 25, and it's sad because you're erasing your own quest for originality. You make your style
Mm.
because it's like, oh, I like that color turquoise, and I like that rainbow scarf, or even if it doesn't match, it's just the idea of like playing around with your personality of what makes you you. But instead, you have these influencers on social media who are getting lip filler, they're getting Botox. You have these 12-year-old girls looking to these women, and they're trying to replicate that, and it's really sad. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a question for Kevin. So, like, you see, like, even in our new human nature, we want to upgrade our anatomy and biology. Think about it, like, and it's never enough. But the problem is, you can never stop time, and with time, you can never stop your growth, your aging. So think about it, like how is we're able to do implants, we're able to do Botox. And again, I'm not against it. You can do as you please. If it makes you feel happy, go ahead, do it. But what I'm saying is think about when you have powerful tool like AI that you're trying to create a coping system for yourself for your own insecurities and your own traumas. You got to ask yourself, why does a woman, you know, manage to do to have more breasts? And sometimes it's the insecurity that they were looking at somebody that did have bigger breasts, or that they weren't looked as much as like when they were younger because they didn't have the right volume in their terms about breasts. And what do they do when they have the opportunity and the resources? They do that. This is why, if we're going to integrate AI into our biology and anatomy, there needs to be a lot of psychological training of healing. And that's the problem. There is not going to be any because we suck at preventive mechanism. We suck at educating and healing our people before they even go into a transformation. We don't do it. We don't even do it with ourselves most of the time. We try to put a band aid on a huge wound and we think we're okay. But then when we're bleeding everywhere and we're out of blood, that's when we react and say, like, oh my God, I got to take care of this wound.
You know what I was thinking about with that? I was thinking the transgender movement, or like it's kind of like a similar concept. You kind of like manipulate the body to do something that isn't really there. Kind of like the Botox, breast implants. Well, they're trying to become something else, but then there's trauma afterwards that kind of resides in there. And the trauma that kind of goes even like within their families or connections. And then they get validated by the internet, of course, right? Because there's always going to be a community out there for the internet. Like that's one of the things where I think like maybe in the future, maybe the transgenders that maybe regretted their choice, because some people love their choice, some people also might have regretted it, and you can't go back from one of the from from mutating the body. Like, I'm just because that's how it is. You can't go back from doing that. Um, so maybe
But that's where you got to be understand. Remember we spoke about value? Like, are you transforming who you are because you believe there's more value in integrating AI on doing a Botox? Is that really creating more value in yourself? That's the question. Because we fail to understand what value means. And we believe that by making these modifications, it creates value. Modification is what does it mean to modify?
sometimes
It
to make it
doesn't
perform better.
it doesn't
Most of
mean
it
to
is.
upgrade. It means to change something. That doesn't mean change, doesn't mean value. Change is just change. Like you're changing this headphone for this. Now, you don't know the value of each one. So why would you even trade to start with if you don't understand what's the value of you today with the you tomorrow? That you invest in yourself properly? That you educated yourself before you made a decision, and the consequences that come with it? What is it you really seeking that you can't find inside yourself first? That's the issue. We look for external validation. We look for external answers when the answers are within ourselves of how we can integrate value. And once you know your value, you understand that nobody can add or take away your value. No one.
Like
Even if they curse you out, you could be like, okay, that's his perspective, but I know who I am.
mhm. Knowing who you are is really important. That's really important. You got to know the value of yourself because then it's like that's when you really start stepping in the world. And you really start walking in the world.
Yeah.
Once you know,
And trust me, Kevin, like most of the patients that and the clients that I work with, they understand the concept of love. But what happens is through their traumas, they don't they can't see their value. Their value is there. It's just that it's opaque by the traumas. It's like they have put a curtain on top of their value, and that curtain is called their traumas that they haven't been able to forgive, and they resent. And because of that resentment, they believe that they need something outside to validate what's inside, and nobody can do that.
Yeah.
External validation doesn't really honor you in the way that you think it does. You know, it's like you want to lose weight. You think the guy exactly. You think the guy that's saying, "Hey, yeah, you're doing an awesome job." You think the motivation is what makes you lose weight, or is it that you are getting up and you're eating right and you're going to the gym and you're taking care of yourself? You're adding value by taking action. But the guy that's motivating you, it's just words. You are taking the actions. You're going through the pain. You're going through the suffering. You will understand. And once you achieve that, you look back and you're like, man, I had to put all this effort. That's value. The effort you put in. Now you understand that who you are in that moment because it gives you an identity as well. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, it's true. I think that's why it was so dangerous. That they were pushing, the kids who were battling with their identity, to get to transition. But you have people who are not allowed to enlist in the army until they're how old? Is it 18? And then you're not allowed to drink until you're 21. But you're 11 years old. You think that you're a boy? Go like remove your breasts and like trigger your body to go into menopause. Like, and then and then that little girl says like, "Oh, never mind. Like that's not what was going on. Like I actually was like going through a lot of other things, but now I don't. I got a mastectomy and I went into menopause."
that's a parent's fault. The
It's
kid
just
shouldn't be able to do that. That's a
it's
parent's
it's
fault.
sad though because of like what was happening when like maybe say like okay like well if you're like 20 and you still feel the same way or 21. No, when does your brain fully develop? 25, right? When you're 25 and you still
25.
feel like this,
Yes.
then you can go ahead and do it. But what how about right now we put you in some activities or like we get you some therapy and like we work on what's going on and focus on your mental health and then let's see what happens. Like it's dangerous to modify your body without understanding what's motivating your inside. What sadness are you feeling or confusion or you don't feel like you belong. Like explore that, because those are real concerns that these individuals are experiencing and I feel like they're finding or they were finding an outlet and I don't get me started on Planned Parenthood, but
Well,
right now
and
Planned Parenthood
that's the whole thing, right? There, you can't find an answer on Chat GPT for that.
right.
You can't. AI can't solve all the human problems. So that's why I'm saying it will be foolish to think that we can find a utopia. The utopia lives already inside of you. The problem is, can you accept your own utopia with your imperfections? That is the real quest. Can you accept who you are? Think about this. You guys love each other. You have accepted the good and the bad. When you take the good, you take the bad with it. That's the acceptance of being in a utopia, because I'm going to go on my religious belief. I go on a journey with Christ and I'm imperfect. And what does Christ does? He embraces my imperfection and he loves me regardless. So that's the validation that I need through my imperfections. And don't get me wrong, uh, doesn't mean that I shouldn't doubt about myself sometimes. But what do I do to not keep doubting about myself is more important than doubting myself itself. So the whole point is like AI is going to definitely be a great tool that gives us more time. It's going to give us quality. It's going to give us efficiency, but it can never add value to ourselves. That is something we do to ourselves. And we have to understand that, and don't get me wrong, one day maybe AI becomes an android and it becomes a robot that you interact every day. We don't know what that's going to look like. Even if that AI gets transformed into a robot that knows about emotions, even that robot can't add any value that you can't give to yourself, because you're still going to be seeking external validation if you're looking for that comfort on AI, on a more developed app. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, thing is, I totally agree. It's like you could once you know your value of yourself, then then you can know how to use your tools. It's like, for example, the photography realm. I find the I find the value in the photos. And I'm still searching for more value in myself with photos, and that's why I want to scale, right? Because I'm like, well, I think I have more value now because I know these different things in the photography world. But it's not the type of camera that gives me the value. It's not the type of equipment that gives us the value. Like for example, even with the ethic skills, we talk about this all the time. Like we said, like it's not the place like a studio or the equipment that we have. Um, it's more about the content, and the content is the value, and that's like the content of the person's heart. It's more about how you value yourself. I could take any camera. I don't need the newest camera to create amazing photos. Like I know I'm a great photographer. Give me a Rebel SL1, which is really like a starter off camera, versus like give me a R8S3, which is like really like the $10,000 camera. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just your creativity that makes you special. You and Autumn understand that, because what happens if you tell um, an AI to take pictures for you? Where is your validation?
Yeah.
Like if you don't do it, how will you even get better? So that's the whole point, that AI is going to create better work life balance, but it can't create any value, internal value in you.
Yeah.
So it's a dangerous thing to think that, because it's foolish to think we're always in search of perfection. And to me, the only thing that's perfect is God. That's what I see. Because I'm imperfect, I need to go to something that's really perfect. But in this world, let's be okay with accepting our imperfections. Let's actually find value in those imperfections. Because think about this, how beautiful it is when you're so imperfect and you find a couple that's perfect in that area, and now you both unite and you both kind of like mix and become one, and that becomes your real strength. Although through your weakness you find a partner that understands how to make that work, because they're good at what you're imperfect, and vice versa. And those compliments is what really makes something close to utopia, because it's a bond, it's a relationship, it's something that the day that one of them die first, you will remember for the rest of your life. And you're going to be like, oh my God, my world was so perfect with this person. You won't know it until you don't have it.
AI will not replace value. It can only add. It can only be an asset to a tool belt on your waist. But your tools is not what makes you valuable. It's
Yeah,
your heart.
AI. Maybe that should be the title for this episode. AI can create value in you. It can't. It just the only person that can do that is yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, literally, literally. That's a
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? I guess we love doing this so much and so genuine. The viewers that you're watching now, we're supposed to do a 30-minute podcast. But we went all in as usual. So please forgive us. The topic was so good. And I guess this is like a kind of like a human behavior is a realm of my expertise. And I wanted to just give the insight, but the guys had really good question and input. So you guys like really put me into the water today. Like,
yeah, say I'm like what David says.
yeah,
Yeah, it just blew my mind. Facts. What?
yeah, and the hardest, and just to give my last opinion, the hardest thing is to it's not even to create value with yourself, because now when you create value with yourself, it's like then you have a responsibility of saying, well, how can I use this value to promote more value outside of myself and with others. And this is where the concept of learning how to love your environment, people takes place. And this is where it becomes very hard. Like I said before, it's easy to love those that you love, but it's hard to love those that you don't. So your value, the value that you have is like you need love in order to pour that value on everything and anything for the better good, even if it doesn't benefit you. And that's the hard part about value. Once you know your value, is now how do I externalize? And that's real validation. That is true validation of yourself when you externalize your value to create more value in others. I don't know. Before we close up, what do you guys think?
100%. I think we need another conversation on identity mixed. How to find identity and value because everybody's different. How can they find it in themselves? Because that's where we're kind of like the human endeavor, the search for value within. Right? Like, how do we find that? I think we
We can
definitely.
do a show. I could be the guest.
Yeah, right.
I'm,
We'll
I'm,
ask questions.
that's my area of expertise. What do you think, Autumn?
I think, um, like right now, I'm thinking about our kids. I think our children of today, they need to have their parents need to really monitor. 'Cause like we're saying, AI is a beautiful tool. I just think it needs to be monitored in a healthy way and like establish in your kids their own like sense of self, and help them to establish their own little identities because we're all a world in and of itself. Everybody has a different world within them, and I think if you understand who you are and like you have a solid grip on it, like you won't allow the tools to use you, or to be consumed by it. I mean, all of us can fall into it, right? But it's another thing that's kind of like a psychological warfare on social media. Like our boys and our girls, they need to know like they are unique, they're individual, they're beautiful, they're enough, they're worthy, and I think that's just something that needs to be instilled.
I wanna leave you guys with this reflection because remember I asked you guys to watch a movie called Something the Lord Made with Vivian A. Thomas.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know why I always use him as a prototype and as a good example? What do you guys think about Vivian and Valley?
Vivian didn't have the degree, but he had the practice. but they didn't value him because he didn't have a degree.
Yeah, but that's the point. Like people cannot value you, but who always valued himself?
Vivian valued himself. That's why he kept
Yeah.
working with the. That's why, and the doctor valued him too because the doctor also got him involved into the thing. But I think the doctor valued him because Vivian valued himself through something to the doctor about about one of the dogs and doing something different with the dog. Like if Vivian didn't take that step of courage and bravery and the thing in his identity of being like, I'm gonna find something, I'm gonna do this, like because it takes courage, it takes a little bravery to do to for Vivian to do that part, right? So I think
But
that's also what values
that's the
people.
point.
Yeah.
What I Vivian is a great example that nobody can take away your value or give you value. The doctor gave him an opportunity. He took it. He made the decision to study. He was the one that acquired what was taught. The same thing where he was being told that because of his skin color, he couldn't do certain things. When he lost the money in the bank, he did it. That didn't stop his value. Neither, neither when like even his own whereabouts were talking about him gossiping. Even his wife, when it was like, why you're not, uh, why you're not doing something about because you should be making more. His value, he understood his value so well that nothing. He Vivian is an example of not only having a great attitude and doing your best. That's why he did his best at everything he did because he understood that he was valuable and he was worthy. And I want to hear what Autumn has to say about it.
Mm. Um, when I watched the movie, I felt like he had a lot of like inner grit. Like he had a for great love and passion for becoming a doctor, right? And that's what he like the thread that kept getting him throughout the movie, you know. And then the friendship that he formed with the other doctor, you know, it was really beautiful because when you have that inner drive, that helps you to overcome whatever's thrown at you. And so I think that's determination, that's your own mindset. And how do you cultivate that, you know, in who's in your circle, but also like sharpening your mind and like not letting anything tear you down from what you want. Because then that's the ultimate reward. Like you doing what you love to do is the
Mm. Yeah, and this is why I always choose Vivian as an example of understanding what value means. And it's an example, and nobody can take it or add. It's a decision you make every day. How valuable am I? Ask yourself that every day when you wake up. If you decide to pray in the morning, or when you wake up, it's like, hey, do I feel like what I'm worth today? And even if I don't feel it, what is my value? Because feeling your worth and being valuable are two different things.
reward.
Yeah. So I guess that concludes our episode today. It was unexpected. Uh, as a matter of fact, as I said, we always live in the future. We have done almost an hour and 40 minutes of the show, which is amazing. I had a lot of fun.
Me too.
And this is so much fun. Actually, I think we should just once in a while drop and do a live, just like this, suddenly with any topics. So maybe we talk about the psychology of uh, what's happening on uh, the comments about the Snow White reaction.
We were just
That's hilarious.
And it's funny because I'll be honest, from my personal point of view and professional, honestly, it's not even worth investing time on something so. I don't know. It's just like, but I know that this is something that a lot of people are talking about. They want to have a different perspective, professional perspective too. But to me, it's like it's just gossip.
Mm.
That's all it is. It's somebody having an opinion. against others, and now you're martyrizing the situation, creating drama, and it's like, why? What is the benefit of doing this?
It's like that. It's like when the we were talking about the righteous. Psalm 15.
Yeah, Psalm 15. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's like I don't know. We tend to crucify what we don't know.
Yeah. It's like what are their same time it's like what are the agendas that are going on? Disney has flipped its way. Like now there's sex on Disney. Like how can there be sex on Disney? It's a kids channel. Like it was made for
Well,
kids cartoon.
that's the whole point. Like they're fitting their agenda with popularity, what's popular. And again, I will always say this: slavery was legal. Was it right? No. So the same thing here. They're following popularism, thinking that yes, it's going to give them more money, but it's going to create controversy. But then again, people love drama and controversy. I look, there's a lot of people that say like, "Ah, I don't want drama in my life. I don't want this," but they're the first one. Something like this happens to log in and have a comment about it. So people love controversial things. They love to be entertained by it. I don't understand why. Like to me, it's like obsolete. Like, how does that add any value in my life? One. Second, how is that adding value to my surroundings? How is that creating a better community? How's that generating more income? It's generating more income to certain people that create even more controversy out of the controversy. But who really wins? That's the question. Do you win? Do you feel like a winner when all these controversies happen? What is it that you win? And honestly, even if you lose, what is that you lose?
Yeah, very much. You know how
All right, well,
you know how
go
imperfection
ahead.
is?
Okay.
Okay, this is like such a perfect example of imperfection. Okay, so as I'm like on the Google, like looking now, like we're at like an hour 40 in. I was like so focused on like getting the live up, like I forgot to hit the record button on the Google Live. But right, but something is but we have the recording on the
No, that's
live
fine
stream.
because the cool thing, we have the transcript too.
Yes, 100%. That's a good thing too. Oh my gosh, like
No, don't worry. I think it records it when when I'm the host. I think it records automatically.
okay, okay,
Yeah, because I saw the red button. So don't remember the first time we did it. It happened the same way. But it's funny because like that. This is like we can choose to make a good laugh of that imperfection or to be sour about it. Like, oh my God, Kevin, really? Like, what is the point? What do you win by making somebody feel ashamed and you're blaming them for their imperfect? As a matter of fact, let's embrace it. Let's laugh. Let's say like, oh, MG, like something. But nobody can take away the good memory we had about sharing what we did right now. No one. That's the value.
mhm,
You choose the value.
100%, 100%. Good thing
And
is we can always pivot too. We have a we have the YouTube one, so that's a good thing.
exactly.
I'm so glad that at least I'm so glad that that was it.
Everything was sweating bullets.
You right?
And
Yo,
you know,
Loki, please forgive me, guys.
bro,
Accountable for
bro, let
it.
me, I will send you my muscle. She's right next to you, so things won't get free.
Yeah. She just flexed over there. She went like this.
But it's funny. Although we don't want to generate controversy, but we will definitely talk a little bit about the Snow White from a psychological perspective, how people are viewing it, why they're making these decisions. Are they logical or are they just emotional? And honestly, what is the whole point of the discussion? What is it that you win by criticizing it or even speculating or even adding your own opinion in a debate that's actually inexistent? So we can talk a little bit about that, give our opinions about it, and then honestly go into fact, facts about it. Like, okay, it's cool. Now we know this, we understand it, but what's the point?
I
What,
know. I think we talk about it. I'm gonna have to watch it, but at the same time, I don't really want to.
you
When I
know,
watch
I
the.
honestly, I knew it because something popped up on my phone, but I never dig in deeper. But I know it's like the topic. It's like Snow White, really?
Yeah.
Snow White? Like, we talk about Snow White. I feel like Alan Iverson is like, are we talking about practice? Yeah, it's like, yeah, like they say, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
but yes, so stay tuned with us. This has been a wonderful episode about the Ethic Still podcast about AI. And the question that I leave for all of our listeners: do you believe AI can create value in yourself, in you? We will leave you with that question, and next time we do a live, we'll talk about the you know Snow White effect, I guess. Why is it generating contours? Is it worth listening to it? And what we're going to do is just try to understand it, but we don't want to create controversy. I'm just letting you know we're not about the controversy. We're just like, is it? What is the fact about it? And should it merit all the attention it's getting? So I'll leave my co-host say goodbye to you guys. I already gave you my goodbyes. Oh, the hand. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the hand in.
So yeah, stay tuned and thank you for tuning in with us. We had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.